Hey guys. This is part 3 of What If Naruto Awakens His Rinnegan. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are pain, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 11, Departure. It was a winter evening during their voyage. It has been a week since they left Konoha. Naruto departed with Kakashi and Yamato, with Konan trailing a little further behind than usual. They were in search of a particular person and didn't have time to waste. Every second counted. Kakashi-sensei, how much longer do you think it will be before we reach there? I'm freezing my ass off, Naruto replied through chattering teeth. The Jounin could only sigh as he watched his student wrap his stiff limbs around himself, rubbing his arms furiously to stop the cold chill. Not much further, Naruto. We will be there by tomorrow afternoon. Naruto whined about that because that was still a day away. Oh, how he wished he were under a heat lamp or a fireplace, or just being back in plain old Konoha with sweltering heat. He would rather have anything except the cold. He did host the Kyuubi. They continued running and jumping as the sun slowly set in the sky. Naruto looked from the corner of his eye and saw Konan. She was keeping a much longer distance than she normally would away from the boy. On top of that, she hasn't even spoken a word to him during the entire trip. If anything was said, she only spoke one-word sentences that usually agreed or disagreed. If Naruto tried to say something to her, she would turn her head and avoid eye contact. It was something that Naruto became worried about. I wonder if it has something to do about the time she kissed me? Naruto thought silently as he continued looking at Konan through his peripheral. She was still avoiding his gaze as if she knew he was watching, although the look on her face told him that she also seemed to be deep in thought. Flashback. Everything came to a screeching halt as Konan absorbed exactly what happened. Silence encased the room as she slowly backed away from Naruto's face. She couldn't believe that she could do something like that. How could she be so careless? Both of their faces matched each other's as shock set in the both of them. Naruto-san, the blue-haired woman responded with a lump in her throat. How could she do this? She did the one thing that she never would have thought in a million years she would do. She kissed Naruto. How can that even be possible? Even the thought of doing that to the boy was unreal, so how did it come to pass? Both of their faces were flushed, and there was an obvious reason why, but neither could speak their own opinion. There were many things wrong with this picture, and Konan could name them off automatically. If this was Konan a month ago in this situation, she would have left an impassive face and automatically told him it was nothing, unless she just didn't allow herself to get into that position at all back then. Then again, the only other way she could have gotten this way back then would be if she were about to trick someone and kill them in order to get information for the Akatsuki. But that was then. Now it was as if she was jumbled and mixed-matched. On top of that, she was even blushing. She hasn't blushed since the day she professed her love by kissing Yahi. Konan immediately jumped off of Naruto and ran outside of his house, slamming his front door behind her. Naruto tried to call her back, but she ignored him, completely fleeing the scene. As Naruto sat down, the earlier moment's activity sat in his brain. Placing 2 fingers to his mouth in awe, it was as if he was trying to feel the same sensation he had when their lips met one another's. She kissed me. I don't understand, he continued, questioning the reason behind it. Why did she kiss me? Space break. Konan ran to the forest and continued running until civilization was harder to see. She didn't want anyone to notice her in such a vulnerable state. People could be very cruel to someone like her. She kept sprinting at full speed before she tripped on a root and fell to the ground with a loud thud. She completely unnoticed the root because her eyes were teared up, making everything blurry and distorted. Once she hit the ground, she groaned and sniffled as she picked herself up and held herself on her hands and knees. Her tears were falling profusely, patting the ground and dampening the dirt into a darker shade. Her face was contorted and full of unsettled melancholy emotion. Her teeth were clenched because she could no longer hold it in. She came to an idea, but brushed it off before as coincidence. After kissing Naruto, this coincidence became something she couldn't tolerate. Was Naruto transforming into some alternate form of Yahiko? No, that couldn't be true. No one could ever replace Yahiko, especially Naruto Uzumaki. She picked herself up and patted the dirt off of her clothes, sniffling and wiping her eyes continuously to try and assure herself that she needed to be stronger than she is now. Yahiko died years ago. There's no reason for me to cry this way. End flashback. Konan knew the boy was watching her, but she couldn't bring herself to look him in the eye. What she did was so unspeakable that she couldn't even talk to the boy or anyone for that matter. It felt so wrong. Who knew that something so simple could make the paper user lose herself in uncertainty? But the question was, why was she letting this get to her? It was something so simple and meaningless. It's not like she did it on purpose. Accidents happen, right? But it was an accident that couldn't ever be forgotten. Something like this would haunt her for the rest of her days. Whenever Naruto would try to talk to her about it, Konan would only try her best to ignore him or just disappear away from him altogether. She knew that he may have been worried, but she just couldn't bear to face him. The embarrassment was too much to bear, so much that she felt as if she had no other choice but to keep herself away from him. Konan didn't want to give the orange-haired boy any ideas about what happened a week before. Naruto knew that something was wrong as he continued eyeing her. She looked so sad. After several of Naruto's attempts to make her happy, she finally broke her depression and started smiling again. But now, it looked like she was going down the same path and would fall deeper than she did before if it was possible, but highly unlikely. He didn't want that. He knew she didn't want that either. There have been a couple of times where Naruto would try to confront the blue-haired woman about what happened before, but she would walk away from the group and tell him not to follow her. Of course, Naruto, being ignorant about her situation as he was, tried to follow after her, but Kakashi stopped him in his tracks. The Jinchuriki obviously got quite upset about that, but Kakashi knew that Konan needed some time to herself for a change. Ever since they had that first talk when he followed her the first time, he knew that she felt chained and bound like a prisoner of the Leaf Village and felt that maybe some quiet time was all she needed. He figured he could give her that much, if any at all. He may not have had much trust in her, but he had enough to give her space. The sun slowly set over the horizon as Kakashi finally stopped in a small clearing in the woods, making the others that were following him do the same. "All right, we will camp here for the night. We will do the same as we have been before. Take turns on watch every 2 hours. Konan and Naruto will share the same tent while Yamato and myself share." Naruto nodded his head while Konan stayed silent and looked in a different direction. Later that night, Konan sat by a tree listening to her surroundings and getting a feel for chakra signatures around as she did her watch. She stayed silent as she gazed at the moon in thought. The woman totally lost herself as she looked upon the big white orb in the sky, thinking about how enormous it could actually be. The view was truly remarkable, although the clouds kept floating across the moon obstructing her view. She has only seen the moon a handful of times when she was younger and other times when she was out on missions for Akatsuki. It always rained every day in Amigakure, but once or twice a year, the rain would stop and the clouds would part, revealing a shining, beautiful circle in the sky. Konan would look onto it in amazement and awe. It was always something that she would remember and treasure, not only because of the beauty, but because it always calmed her when she looked at it. It was almost as if it was telling her that things would get better or telling her that the clouds would eventually part in her life, revealing a great peace. Looking around the moon, she also saw all of the tiny shining specks in the sky. The stars. They were so small and insignificant, but they complemented the moon as if they belonged together. She could only smile as she softened her eyes on the sky's canvas. Things like this would make all of her worries disappear in an instant, and she would feel glad about it. When she was in Akatsuki, she never had breaks like this to really enjoy nature. But now, as she sat here viewing the wind blowing the tree limbs softly, and looking at the snow glistening on the ground, she really became that much closer to nature. "Konan-chan." The woman in question abruptly snapped out of her daze and looked over to her right. Her eyes widened as she looked at him, only for her to quickly shift her gaze to the ground with a frown. "What do you want, Naruto-san?" "I want to talk about what happened, La." "There's nothing to talk about, the blue-haired woman quickly replied while turning her gaze the opposite way from Naruto. Now if there is nothing else to say, then leave. But Konan-chan, why did you do it? Konan fell silent as she stared at the blanket of snow on the ground as if it was something important. I don't know why. It just happened. As soon as it escaped her mouth, she knew that was the wrong thing to say, but she couldn't think of anything else. If Konan told him that she thought he was Yahiko or that she got lost in the moment, then the woman would look crazy or as if she really did like the boy. But Konan-ch. Look, Naruto-san, Konan replied with a sigh, I know you are confused and probably questioning whether or not I have feelings for you. Naruto stood there dumbfounded as she completely guessed what he was thinking. But you should clearly know that what happened then was completely an accident. Our relationship is purely friend-based, nothing more. I am only here to fulfill Yahiko's and Nagato's vision of peace and help protect the world from Madara. Naruto inwardly felt a little sad about that, although he really didn't know why. Now, if you have nothing more to talk about, please leave me alone. I just want to be by myself for a while. She turned her eyesight back to the moon as she sat there trying to forget that Naruto was even around her. Naruto stood there, soaking up everything that she said. It took him well over a few seconds before he made up his mind. He walked over nonchalantly and sat down beside Konan. What are you doing? The orange-haired boy dropped his eyes to her direction. I'm staying with you. But why? I said I didn't want you here. I need to figure things out on my own. Good, Naruto said confidently, you can figure it out, while I'm sitting here. Naruto-san, why are you making things so difficult? The woman replied with an annoyed but sad gesture, haven't you done enough already? Because I made a promise and I plan to keep it. Konan flashed her eyes to his direction and locked her gaze onto his. His look was determined, just like that night. She tried to find falseness in his gaze or voice but found none. I told you that I would never let you steer yourself that low again. Nobody deserves that, you know? Naruto looked to the ground and brought his head back up to look at her with a grin. Believe it or not, keeping you happy is one of my most important goals in life, and I vowed to keep you in the happiest mood you have ever been and ever will be. Before she knew it, she felt a slight warmness to her cheeks. That last comment was something she wasn't expecting. Although, she already knew that Naruto didn't mean it in the other way, having someone say that to her was something that she oddly liked to hear. Before she knew it, she smiled to him. Thank you, Naruto-kun. He looked over to her and grinned right back. It seemed that this was all that she needed to set her mind straight, and it eased Naruto's worries. Her adding kun to the end of his name only made it better. She trusted him now. Konan didn't have to think about it anymore. Of course, he reminded her so much of Yahiko, because her dead lover's will rested on this boy's shoulders. Heroes always carry the same determination. Maybe he will grow more mature with age like Yahiko did? Only time will tell. Konan-chan. Stirring her from her ruminations, she looks over, yes? I can take the rest of your shift, and take mine too. You deserve more rest than I do. You haven't slept very well in the past few days, and I think you should sleep a little more. Naruto-kun, the woman replied while looking slightly startled, you know I can't do that. I don't want to take away from your equal resting period. You will be tired in the morning. Nonsense, I can handle myself, Naruto retorted while puffing out his chest. You should relax and let me handle it. You need your beauty rest, and I can't take no for an answer. Konan was about to retort to that, but she realized that Naruto was indeed stubborn once it came down to certain things, so she just smiled a warm smile. I guess you're right, I do need my rest. She stood up and dusted off the snow from her pants. I have a feeling that I won't have any more sleeping problems. Good night, Naruto-kun. Good night. And with a wave of her hand, she walked back to the tent at Naruto and her share, leaving the blonde boy alone with his thoughts. He could only grin as he thought about Konan's smile. He never realized that all she needed was a little talking to. He never knew it was that easy. He sighed contentedly as he lay on the trunk that Konan was laying on previously. Konan opened the flap to her tent and took off her flak jacket, an orange flower. Stretching out her arms, she crawled into her sleeping bag and took notice of the heaviness that began to descend on her eyelids. She didn't really have time to think about what she wanted to think about. All she knew was that she hasn't felt this sleepy in a long while. She never knew it was so simple. The woman closed her eyes and slowly drifted away into a bright, expansive, and grassy field. Chapter 12, Rivalries. Point 1. No, Naruto-kun, do it again. Right. Sorry, Konan-chan. Naruto was busy practicing a new jutsu that Konan was currently teaching him. He had been doing this for quite some time during the day, and he was left feeling tired and running short of chakra. He didn't know why, but he just couldn't do it. After trying again, but failing, he just fell to the ground with a sigh. I can't do it, Konan-chan. Learning to control paper with futon chakra is really hard, he replied, puffing for air. Konan sighed softly while walking over to him. She could understand his difficulty for the special ability she has. It was her Kekkei Genkai, and something that she treasured deeply. It's not like she learned how to master paper jutsu in a day. I understand, Naruto-kun, but if you want to learn a new ability while gaining new tactics to use with me, then you will have to learn how to use this, the woman replied softly while lying down next to Naruto. They became real comfortable with each other after that small talk they had the night before. It seemed they reached a middle ground and truly felt that everything was alright. With his back to the ground, Naruto looked into the clouds of the bright afternoon sky. It was so peaceful and not a soul in sight. The wind blew softly between the both of them, and made it seem as if there wasn't a care in the world. It's so nice out here today. I wish every day was like this, Naruto said with a smile. Konan turned her head slightly to view him. She broke out into a warm smile before looking back up into the sky. I couldn't agree with you more. Their gazes were fixed on the deep blue canvas as white puffs of cotton floated across the view. The trees shook softly to the rhythm of the wind and left a harmonious atmosphere upon them both. The life seemed to be so thriving and wonderful. A few moments later, a bird chirped in one of the trees, leaving Naruto to sigh in disappointment. I think we should head back to Kakashi-sensei. He might get concerned about us, Naruto said reluctantly. He slowly started pulling himself up, when a hand grabbed his sleeve and tugged it. Wait, Naruto-kun. Why don't we just lay here a little bit longer? Konan asked a little desperately. Naruto looked back at her and saw her face before looking back to a general direction and scratching his face. I really don't think we should keep Kakashi-sensei waiting. He tried to get up again before Konan gripped him tighter, this time on the wrist. But Naruto-kun, She apparently pulled too tight, and it made Naruto stumble before regaining his balance by placing both of his palms on the ground. After getting his bearing back, he realized one thing, Konan-chan. And Naruto-kun? He was on top of Konan in a very delicate situation. The woman looked at him with a redness to her face and a silent tongue. Naruto looked down upon her with a certain tint to his own cheeks. Wait a minute, why am I blushing? Think, Naruto, you can't like her. What happened last time was an accident. An accident. But I'm frozen. Why can't I get off? That was when he looked at her face. With it being so red, it made her look so cute. She couldn't look any better. She had a natural pale complexion because of her years of staying in Amigakure, but now her skin had darkened up a bit, leaving a warmer natural glow and sheen. Maybe that sheen came from being in the heat today? His eyes lowered to her lips. He tried to look away, but they were just so enticing. They were a light shade of pink that slightly sparkled in the sun. They looked so soft and inviting that looking at them only drew him closer to her face. He hasn't kissed a girl before, and the only one he did kiss was the woman that was lying below him. It felt so good, so why shouldn't he do it again? It's not like she wasn't enjoying it the last time, but it's not right. I shouldn't do this. I can't control myself though. But it's not like she's resisting. And maybe just a slight brush against the lips would be okay. Konan's thoughts were along the same lines as Naruto's. This isn't right. I shouldn't be doing this with him. But I can't keep myself from staring at him. I am so embarrassed. Well, maybe one kiss would be okay? I mean, we have kissed before. Wait a minute, what am I saying? Oh God, he's getting closer. She was gazing at Naruto with soft half-lidded eyes, almost like she has been wanting or waiting for Naruto to do this. She didn't want to fight it because she knew that it felt good the last time. It wasn't like anybody was watching them. She couldn't feel a presence around at all. It only left her wanting his kiss more. Her heartbeat slowly picked up its pace as she stared at his mouth slowly inching its way to hers. Naruto eventually brushed his lips against hers as they both closed their eyes. As soon as the kiss started, it went very slowly and softly. Konan blushed even darker as she brought her hands up to Naruto's broad body. Her left hand went to his hair as she started massaging his scalp. Her other hand went to his back as she felt Naruto's kiss deepen. She softly moaned into Naruto's mouth at the intense sensation. She hasn't kissed in so long, and she forgot just how good it really felt. MMGH ha, Naruto-kun. Naruto copied her as he continued kissing her sweet lips. MMNNN, Konan-chan. Naruto-kun. Konan-chan. And Naruto-kun. Whap. Naruto opened his eyes quickly as he pulled himself up. He stretched as he got a look at his surroundings. It was pitch black in the night. The sun wasn't even close to rising yet. He rubbed his eyes rather quickly as he realized Konan hit him moments before. He looked over to see Konan inches away from him. Actually, they were in the same sleeping bag with Naruto's sleeping bag completely empty staring at him from the other side of the tent. Wait a sec, why aren't I in my sleeping bag? Naruto asked while scratching his head. I should ask you the same thing, Konan replied with distaste and arched eyebrows. She folded her arms as Naruto turned his head to view her and started sweating in nervousness. He knew that Konan was mad at him. Something like that was uncalled for if it was done on purpose. Immediately, Naruto got out of Konan's vicinity as he threw his hands up in defense. Konan-chan, I swear I would never try to sleep in the same bag without permission. Konan blushed faintly at Naruto's poor choice of words before rebuttaling. Whatever, just forget about it. Your hormones have kicked in full force. It's only natural you would try to pull something like that. She pulled the covers back over her body and rolled over to keep herself from facing him, although, contrary to what you may believe, I am not easy. So do yourself a favor and stay in your sleeping bag because next time, I will put you in a full body paper cast and tie you to a tree. Take this as fair warning. But I didn't. Good night, Naruto-kun. The orange-haired boy sighed in guilt. Yeah, good night, Konan-chan. He rolled over in his sleeping bag facing the opposite of her. He knew that once she put her foot on the ground, she wasn't budging. It didn't seem like she was going to believe him no matter how hard he pleaded for his innocence. As minutes slowly passed and things got really quiet, he started thinking about the dream he had moments before. He's never had dreams like that, at least none that involved Konan, or making out for that matter. This was something relatively new to him. But I thought that was really happening. It really felt like I was there and doing all of that stuff all day. Weird. He didn't want to delve into it any longer because his Johnny was getting riled up and he knew that he wouldn't be able to go to sleep if it kept up. Soon after, he closed his eyes and fell into another deep sleep. Konan, however, was wide awake. She couldn't go to sleep. Not after what she experienced that dream. It felt so real, and Konan blushed hard as she thought about all of those images. Not long after she had that incident in mistaking Naruto for Yahiko, she has a dream of making out with him again. She couldn't believe the way her mind was acting. Calm down, Konan, it was just a dream. You didn't actually let Naruto have his way with you. She mentally face-palmed herself. What am I thinking? These thoughts should be illegal. They were wrong. How could she start thinking about Naruto in a way like that? She's only supposed to look after his well-being and make sure he is properly trained. Yes, that's right. Friends. Nothing more. Anything further would be considered outrageous. People would look down on her for making it seem like she was taking advantage of him, or something. She can't have that. Now that she thinks about it, even the sound of starting a relationship with Naruto is crazy. Konan snorted to herself as she closed her eyes. Yeah, why am I worried? That would never work out anyway. Naruto's the chosen child. I just wouldn't fit in the picture like that. He's the hero, and I'm just a nobody. After feeling satisfied with her answer to herself, she tried to go to sleep. It came a little easier this time as her eyelids fell heavy. but her final thoughts still echoed throughout her mind. He's the hero, and I'm just a nobody. Just a nobody. Nobody. Triple X. Hey, wait. Rinnegan and his guardians quickly turned to see who called them. I had a feeling you were going to follow us, Carrie told them with a scowl. Why don't you just stay away from us? Naruto came to an abrupt stop with a passive and determined look on his face. Konan followed after with the two leaders tailing them to a halt. Sir, I ask you. Please forgive my comrade Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto replied, ignoring Carrie while bowing slightly towards the Rinnegan. He's been through more than anyone would know. He just wants justice, the justice that is seen through his eyes. The Rinnegan looked onward silently before turning with an angry frown. His ignorance is what is causing all of our trouble. Why should we just let go everything that he has done? He has attacked and tried to capture my Jinchuriki. He is a missing nin and a part of Akatsuki as well, am I correct? Naruto nodded silently but didn't change his attitude. Yes, sir. Then he should be dealt with like any other missing nin should be, killed or captured for ransom. Naruto frowned as he continued. He will most likely be killed for his actions if we were to catch him. But I am unsure about your village's practices, Rinnegan told him gruffly. Lord Rinnegan, Karui said while looking his way, that woman is the person I was talking about, she pointed while looking at Konan. What can we do? Shouldn't she be captured since she is a part of Akatsuki? I was a part of Akatsuki, Konan replied, but I am no longer. The group no longer served its original purpose. I only realized this after Naruto defeated the leader. So now I have an insurmountable debt that I have to pay to him and the entire Leaf Village. It's only right after what I have done. Kakashi then stepped in and placed a hand on Konan's shoulder, slightly startling her. Due to certain circumstances, Konan here is forced to stay a part of the Leaf Village for the rest of her life. She is a slave to the Leaf now and is protected by the Leaf. Therefore, if anything is done to her from any other nation or village, then, we the Leaf, will act accordingly as if she is a Leaf Ninja herself. Ei grunted before turning his head away from them. Either way, she is still scum in my eyes. As for Sasuke Uchiha, he is a threat to my village. I will do whatever it takes to capture him, or kill him. None of your pity or words can stop me. He turned away as his guardians followed him. Karui smirked in victory because she knew the Rinnegan would do no such thing. Everyone else was silent. They heard what he was saying and they knew it was true. Rinnegan spared no one. He was the type of guy you really didn't want to mess with, although before leaving eyesight, Rinnegan took one last glance at the strange boy while he slowly walked away. Naruto frowned even more as he thought about what Ei said. Konan walked over to Naruto and spoke softly. Naruto-kun, you tried. That's what matters the most. I think Rinnegan was actually hinting something to you earlier. It seemed as though he could understand in a way, if at least what you were going through. Naruto looked awed by what she just said. He hinted something? Yes, Konan replied while softly smiling. He said that his village would surely kill Sasuke if they had a chance. But he also said that he didn't know if the Leaf would actually follow through with killing him at all. He could be suggesting that if the Leaf Village caught him first, then maybe you would actually have a true chance in saving him. She's telling the truth, Naruto, Kakashi responded while looking over to his student. Sasuke may get put in solitary, but he will still be alive. It's just the point of getting him back to the Leaf Village that will be a problem, but it is possible. Naruto contemplated those words before grinning with another determined face. Then that means that I can't give up yet. I still have a chance. I'm not giving up on Sasuke. Konan smiled at Naruto's antics. He seemed to really care about his friends. It just amazed Konan to no end how Naruto would try to rescue a fallen friend. Friendships were very valuable things and Konan knew that firsthand. If either of her friends were alive, then maybe she would have done the same thing? No, there is no question if she would do the same thing. She would help her friends to the end. If she would have known earlier of Nagato's stress and pain, then maybe she could have prevented all of this. But the past is truly the past. Nothing can be changed except for the future. I hope we can turn this around. This disaster has gone on long enough. Yahiko. Nagato. Please help us. Good, then I think we should continue our trek. but first I think a stop in the town close by is in order, Kakashi said in slight humor. Everyone nodded their heads in agreement and dashed. Cabin. Well, this place looks pretty cozy to be in the snow like this, Naruto said as he walked in. Konan walked in behind Kakashi as he looked over to Naruto. Well, it's not that bad. It will be better than our last sleeping arrangement, that's for sure. Naruto looked around before he sat down on the floor. The walls echoed an eerie silence that seemed to penetrate his eardrums constantly. This room was as empty as the streets at night in Konoha. But everything was so clean and spotless that it didn't really matter that it was empty. After looking around but finding nothing really important, Naruto heard Kakashi speak up. Konan, watch after Naruto while Yamato and myself finish up the arrangements to the cabin. It will only take us a few minutes. He did one last eye smile before he disappeared into the snow with a silent Yamato. Naruto did the only thing he could do. He fell backwards onto the tatami mats and crossed his arms underneath his head. The truth was that he was just too in thought about Sasuke. Why would he do something like this? Why not just come back? It was so easy and everyone would eventually forgive him. Why not come home? Are you thinking about Sasuke? Naruto turned his head and saw Konan. She had a slight look of concern in her eyes, which surprised him. He just sighed. How did you know? Came his disheartened voice but didn't change his body position. Well, it's not really hard to figure out, she started while walking over to Naruto and sitting beside him. Is this the reason why we came out this way? Are you trying to find Sasuke and bring him back to your home? His home? After contemplating, Naruto sighed. I just don't understand him anymore, Konan-chan. What do you not understand, Naruto-kun? She replied before lying down next to him in a similar pose. Hearing his thoughts about Sasuke was really intriguing, and she couldn't pass up on it. She's seen the deranged boy a few times and knew that he was experiencing something within his mind that was driving him mad. It's just that he used to be an okay guy. Now he has left with only a desire to kill. Konan listened with rapt attention, but I know he really doesn't want to do that. Naruto's eyelids lowered. No one would. No matter how hard their life was. I know this may be none of my business, the Jounin started, but wasn't there a time when you used to be shunned? Didn't you feel any hatred towards anyone? Enough hatred to kill? I'm sure it wasn't easy having the Leaf's hatred on your shoulders. Naruto lay there in silence looking into space with sadness in his demeanor. His heart lightly ached from the past that he never wanted to bring up again. Well, when I was younger and didn't know much, of course I was angry at everyone who was mean to me. I couldn't stand it. He clenched his fists very tightly before relaxing them again. But I always eventually got over it because of the few people that actually did understand and helped me. A slight chuckle escaped his lips at the time. I really didn't know why people were so mean to me. I always thought it was because they thought I was a bad kid because I lived on my own. But now I know that wasn't true. It was because I had the demon fox sealed within my body. I carried the burden. You must have been scared, weren't you? Konan asked softly, with her eyesight looking dead at him. He looked over to her and saw something. He saw another side of Konan. She looked genuinely concerned for Naruto and didn't seem like she was faking at all. In a way, he was happy that she actually cared. It made him understand her a little better. His lips curved upward before he started speaking again. I was at that time, but I've learned since then. I can't totally blame them for their misunderstanding. We are all just people after all. None of us can really be perfect. But at least we can try. He laughed with a grin before looking back at Konan. Konan smiled at the boy's antics. He never let anything get him down. He always looked so confident. It just really brought up her mood. I'm sorry for interrupting, but are you quite finished? A dark voice interrupted as both Naruto and Konan shot their attention to the speaker. They stared at him momentarily as he held a bored posture with his chin resting on his hand. Kaboom! Silly Naruto, you know Rinnegan doesn't work on me, the masked figure replied as he stood on the roof by the protruding hole in the ceiling. Naruto was all of a sudden pushed back as Konan ruffled her papers on her skin. They started peeling off and whirling around her figure as she bore her eyes into his, Madara. The man only looked at her with a scoff. Oh, So you've grown an attachment to the boy now, I see. How sweet. The woman didn't say anything as she lowered her eyelids in more distaste. Her anger was so deep. Just even looking at this man again caused her to almost go insane and attack him on the spot. There was only a tiny amount of restraint that was keeping her at bay. It was that little nagging voice that told her that nothing would work on him. Not at the moment anyway. She was unprepared. Suddenly, wood sprouted from every direction as it encased Naruto into a wooden cell. What the hell? His eyes looked up and saw Madara constricted in wood. Kakashi-sensei. We won't let you get your hands on Naruto that easily, Madara, Kakashi told the masked man with his Sharingan blaring and a kunai to the masked man's throat. Madara held no emotion but simply told them, you should already know that physical attacks do not work on me. Well, I don't know if you are a projection, Yamato replied while maintaining eye contact, but I do know that you need to be physically solid in order to grab Naruto, so I'm just waiting for that moment. Big solid blocks of wood started to slowly rise from the ground by Yamato's woodjutsu as if waiting to strike. I didn't come here to fight, Toby told them nonchalantly. I have my own plans in motion and I can't ruin it with some light squabble such as this. I just came to talk. To talk? Of what? Kakashi was wary as he held the kunai closer to Toby's throat. About Nagato. Naruto, I am very curious. How did you get Nagato to betray me? I don't care about your stupid questions. The boy replied with clenched teeth. Where's Sasuke? What did you do to him? What do you want from him? Sasuke, huh? The masked man replied as if in thought. Okay, I'll tell you all about Sasuke Uchiha. About the boy with so much hatred for the leaf and carries the Uchiha's burden. Chapter 13, Rivalries. Point 2. That's all a lie. Naruto threw his hands to the bars and gripped them until his knuckles were white with strain. Sasuke would never want to be that way. You brainwashed him. Oh? Are you sure there weren't any telltale signs of his hatred? I'm pretty sure he's always felt that way after the death of his clan. Toby just shook his head. Naruto, when will you ever learn that it's not all about you? Sasuke chose his path and therefore, he will walk it despite whatever you tell him. Your depiction of this Uchiha is far off than you have ever believed. All you are speaking is only what a child would believe. You shut your mouth, you bastard. Naruto twisted his gaze to the paper angel. The glaze over her eyes and the sheer distaste that showed from her mouth could only prove of malice that never washed away, no matter how many days that passed her by. The memories haunted her, and her regret has only further pushed her to her mental limits. This was the look of a warrior, a person raised on the means to survive. The memories of what she was before she joined Naruto and his village came rushing back to the orange-haired genin, and for a moment, there was a time that he believed that maybe things would have been different had he not saved her. What gives you the right to decide what the Uchiha wants to believe? Konan replied in monotone. I can guarantee that you have something to do with the Uchiha's change of heart. Just as you changed Nagato, or better yet, how you played with their emotions to gain an advantage in your sick, twisted plan. I know all about it. Madara. Toby was amused at this woman's constant interference. Perturbed for a split second, the feeling faded as quickly as it came. However, through his musing, he was entertained by Konan's interruption. Interesting. I didn't do anything. I only spoke the truth and let him decide on his own. Nagato was treated the same way and made up his own mind as well. He just decided on a way that benefits my plan, he replied smugly. Although, he already knew that he instigated their decisions, however minor his notions were. He couldn't have them changing their minds now, could he? Not possible. I didn't even have to do anything to Nagato anyway. In the end, he was a fool. Although, it's not as if it really matters. He's dead, or did it just slip your mind? I could just say that maybe he was into my idea from the get-go. I could also tell you that there was a moment when he wanted you dead. Konan flinched in surprise. Nagato wanted her dead? That couldn't be possible. Nagato and I have been friends since we were little. I have never done anything to Nagato to make him hate me, as you say. There was a further indentation on her brow. Toby chuckled in a casual cackle that would only seem darker than anything else. I suppose you're right. Nagato would never be so evil as to do something that would harm his precious person. In reality, he was too weak to even realize his own faults, calling himself a god. He even had the Kyuubi within his reach and he let him slip by just from a simple conversation. Actually, this would make Naruto the one who killed Nagato. Konan began to ruffle her papers on her skin. They slowly began to peel off and flitter through the sky in a violent tornado. She didn't like this man's constant lies. Everything that masked man spouted was becoming more and more unbearable to hear. She couldn't understand it. Why was he causing so much pain to everyone? A fire erupted in her belly as his words churned in chaos within her mind. She turned to look at Naruto, who was staring at her in concern. A piercing cold flame sparked within her eyes that would put villains to shame. She was exhausted from the fabrications. The man who started it all was right in front of her. She would make it quick and simple to end this cycle with this man here. It's the only way the world will be at peace. No. No! I won't hear it. Nagato passed on his will for peace to Naruto. I won't let you sully his name. Konan's papers peeled with flittering sound that crackled throughout the sky and swirled in a vortex of white blurs. Her thoughts were clouded and left her thinking on one thing: to kill. Her anger filled her senses. It was as if she was falling into an abyss with no way to fly and break free. She was actually losing control of herself. This was completely different from the Konan weeks before. Tap. Her eyes darted to the unusual weight on her form, then followed the arm to Naruto's face, who continued giving her that same look. Naruto's hand found its way to her shoulder. He was silently urging her to stop. She gasped as his touch developed a feeling of warmth through her jounin vest. A different warmth than just a simple form of heat. She then felt clarity. She remembered that forgiving is the best way to find a peace of mind. Her eyebrows furrowed in confusion as an internal battle fought within her mind. She couldn't forget Nagato's words and his sudden change and how easily he put his trust into Naruto. Clenching her eyes shut as the papers slowly flew back to her form, she hung her head low as she found melancholy curiosity to the ground full of snow. That's right. There was nothing that you could do to stop this from happening to your friend, or to your love, Toby replied nonchalantly to her. Now all you have are feelings of regret and wishes of what you could have done. Unfortunately, this world is cruel. It's a shame though, you should have followed in their footsteps where you could be joined together again. Then you wouldn't still have to suffer another day in this wretched wasteland. The masked man twirled his hand around, signaling everything around them. No one has ever survived my genjutsu. It is only a mystery to how you survived that attack. More like a miracle, Konan thought quietly. I think I've heard enough, Kakashi soon intervened. As interesting as the spat between the two ninja was, there were other things that needed to be found out that were more important. I want to know why you are collecting the bijou. What's your true reason? Getting back on topic, are we? Toby replied sarcastically. Well, if I were to choose a reason, it would be to become a complete form. The mood fell to a darker shade from his response. A complete form? What do you mean? Kakashi asked curiously. Toby shook his head. It would be pointless to tell you all. Maybe I will tell under better circumstances. It was a quite nice chat for now, but until then. Later, a vortex appeared, swallowing the man whole until he disappeared into nothingness, leaving an open gap in the Mokuton technique. After a few moments, the tension died and everyone could feel the release. Konan sighed and lowered her head further. Madara. I hate that man. Konan-chan, Naruto asked as he walked up to her, are you alright? He could feel the stress coming off of his teammate and fluctuating vibes. She was troubled, but he didn't know what was exactly on her mind. The woman sniffed and wiped her eyes with her thumbs. Yes, everything's fine. I just overreacted. She knew her actions were strange. It looked as if she might have to train herself to control her emotions again. That certainly won't be a walk in the park because her emotions were so well tamed, and it didn't come difficult because she grew to live that way. Before she met Naruto, it was so easy to solve that minor emotional stir, but even she didn't realize just how much it was a change for her. What she just did could have been a costly mistake on her part that would have injured Naruto, or any other leaf shinobi that was around. Why she was acting that way, she couldn't quite figure that out. It only left her pondering over her reaction. XXX. Look at my cabin! An angry person yelled. Kakashi and Yamato both looked at the man. He was the owner of the cabins and looked like a fish out of water at the destruction of his beautiful property, or so he claimed it to be. I'm sorry, Yamato replied with a sweat. I'll fix it. I promise. You're damn right you will. I mean, look at it. It's a mess. I just can't stand Shinobi, he cried while looking at the massive hole in his beloved cabin. Kakashi could only sigh and gaze his lone eye to the top of the cabin, where Naruto and Konan sat up there together. It was becoming ever more intriguing to watch their strange relationship from afar, and he could very well admit that something has changed within the last few days since their departure. Could they be, nah? That kind of thing would never happen. But wouldn't it be pretty exciting if it did? Kakashi felt the need to grab a small notebook from within his back pouch and began scribbling something that would make either in question pale or blush. I think I might continue your passion, Jiraiya-sama. Neither one of them uttered a peep. Lost in their thoughts that were floating and spinning through their minds from moments before, they sat in silence side by side. Konan was replaying what Madara kept telling her. His words were filling her head and driving her to insanity. None of what he said could have been the truth, could it? No. It's not possible. She knew the truth. Words from an untrustworthy man were not valid. She can't believe those things he was spouting off, although she couldn't help but review her life traumas. Naruto thought in silence. He just can't believe that Sasuke would actually choose that path. Why? Then again, he wanted strength. Like Madara said, Sasuke wanted strength that he felt he couldn't get from anything else but darkness. It was such a terrible and lonely way to get power, but Naruto thought about it. If he didn't have anyone there for him, he would have most likely done the same thing. Maybe in another dimension? He sighed in defeat. He should probably think on it later. His mind couldn't really handle all of the stress. He gazed in Konan's direction and felt astonished from her subconscious action. She usually tried to run away to her lonesome whenever she had problems, but here she sat, together with him and thinking to herself, she is most likely thinking about what Madara said about Nagato, he wondered. It just didn't seem right to him. He clearly knew that Nagato wasn't lying before he died. If he was, then he was doing a really good job. That would most likely mean that Madara was the biggest compulsive liar he has ever known. Naruto knew the truth, but he started thinking that maybe Konan didn't exactly have an answer for everything. Hey, Konan-chan. She replied distantly, with her sight never leaving the snow on the roof. Don't think too much about what Madara said, okay? He replied, snapping her head immediately to his direction. It's just that, well, we both know that Nagato didn't do anything wrong. He just lost his way. Just don't believe any of it. Nagato wants us to continue on the right path. We can't let anything get in our way. Including lies that bastard says? Naruto answered a little more somber in his last statement. Konan looked on with wide eyes as her glare was reciprocated. Naruto is actually the one telling her to not worry? Isn't she supposed to be the one that gives life lessons to Naruto instead? I've come a long way since we first met, haven't I? A slow, miniature smile of sadness etched its way on her face before she sighed. I suppose you're right. His words have nothing to back them. It's merely talk. I should have remembered that from the beginning. I'm sorry. She rested her head on her hand as she sat there in a hurricane of thoughts. It was a genuine apology, and Naruto knew that it was, but he didn't think that Konan should have apologized. She was just being too hard on herself. Look, Naruto replied while scooting closer to Konan and placing his hand on her shoulder, you have nothing to apologize for. Take it easy. Relax. This is just something to get in our way. Just think of it as a small misfortune that's trying its best to stop us. Konan looked over in slight amusement and a glint in her eye. Since when did you become so mature? He laughed and started scratching the back of his head. I don't really know. It just sorta came out. He stopped and looked at her. But still, it's okay. We'll get through this. I will make sure that we succeed. She gave a soft smile to Naruto, and his sweet innocence. She really enjoyed that upbeat attitude in her life. I would have really needed someone like you when I was younger. Before she could finish her thoughts, something caught her eye and she looked down to Kakashi, who was signaling them. Hey, Naruto. You need to come down. The orange-haired boy stared at Kakashi, who was pointing to several figures walking up in haste: Sakura, Sai, Kiba, and even bushy brows. What are you all doing here? Sakura breathed a sigh and looked to Naruto with a determination in her eyes. Naruto, we need to talk. XXX. Huh? What did you say, Sakura-chan? I don't think I heard you correctly. Can you say it again? Naruto stood dumbfounded as he stared at his pinkette teammate. Naruto, I said. I love you, she replied with a tinge of red on her cheeks. All of the spectators, including both parties, were looking on in interest and surprise. Lee looked as if he couldn't believe it. Kakashi's lone eye gazed curiously at the new development. Yamato looked ridiculous. Sai and Kiba kept silent. Konan, however, lowered her eyelids slightly. Her face fell into a partial frown as she watched the two interact with each other. Sasuke doesn't even mean anything to me anymore, Naruto, Sakura stated with her eyes diverted to the side. I was completely at fault to ever like him anyway. Just listen to me better while I'm making my confession. Naruto stared in shock at it all. Never in a million years would he expect Sakura to just openly decide that she likes him. In his dreams, maybe, but in real life it was just impossible, and he knew it. That thought changed his ideas, and he no longer felt the shock anymore. Only confusion. His face held a seriousness to it that was all too different from a moment ago, and it gave him an unusual air. But why here? Why now? I don't think this is funny, Sakura. Cut the crap. What are you up to? Sakura stifled a gasp at his stare and this new tone that he added in his words. It seemed a little colder than usual. What do you mean, Naruto? Nothing's going on. I just finally woke up and realized that I can't continue loving a rogue shinobi. I'm not a child, you know. I can tell the difference between fantasy and reality. Her smile widened as she gave a grin with closed eyes. Now that we're done with that, you don't have to worry about that promise you made to me. You can stop chasing after Sasuke. Naruto flinched at that last part, and Konan noticed all too quickly. Reacting to all of this, the paper angel forced herself between the two team members, completely surprising both parties. Yamato began to object, only to have Kakashi hold him back, curious as to what Konan had to say. Excuse me, Konan-san, but I have to continue to talk to Naruto, Sakura started as she barely arched her eyebrows in confusion and anger. I can't allow you to talk to Naruto any longer, Konan said aggressively, earning a questioning look from both Sakura and Naruto. Your confession is causing Naruto a great deal of pain and confusion. I can only ask that you leave here at once. I will not stand aside and let you talk to him as if he is simple-minded. Sakura quickly ended her facade as she stared at Konan intensely. One could hear gloves slowly wrinkling underneath the pinkette's winter robe. What? I don't talk to him like he's simple-minded. Do you really think that Naruto is that much of a fool to believe that you would fall in love with him on a whim? Why do you care? Sakura asked, staring daggers into Konan's own eyes. All you want is for Naruto to see your way. We all know what you are doing. Konan's eyes widened at her statement. She was still going on about that. I'm doing nothing of the sort. Really? Sakura said smugly. Ever since you appeared, Naruto has been changing. He's not the same blonde-headed knucklehead that I used to know. He's become colder, and his hair has even become orange. Isn't it a coincidence that his hair would turn the same color that Pain's hair was? Konan was still in denial about Naruto's hair color. She was still trying to cope with that fact, and Sakura wasn't making it better. All he ever talks about is Konan this and Konan that. I don't entirely understand it. You were the enemy. Why are you even here? Why did you change Naruto so much? Sakura shook her head in disbelief. Well, I guess when you hang around a cold bitch long enough, you turn colder. Your slap. Everyone's eyes widened exponentially as they saw Konan's hand glide across Sakura's face, making the pink-haired girl falter slightly and wince from the pain. It took the girl a moment, but she looked up and saw Konan with anger and sadness etched on her face. You have no right saying such things about me. How dare you? I've been nice this entire time, and you've only slandered about me. You haven't once given me an opportunity to prove my truth and trustworthiness. It would be in your best interest if you just left Naruto and myself alone. I think we've both had enough of your lies. Why, you bitch? I'm not even the one that's lying. You've been lying to Naruto th. Sakura. She turned her head and saw Naruto with a fierce look contorted in his features. She went wide-eyed as she turned a shade of white that was similar to the color of a hospital blanket. She never saw Naruto this angry, especially if it was directed at her. He didn't even add the chan suffix at the end of her name. What was this Naruto? Naruto. You don't mean? I think it's time that you take your leave, Sakura, Naruto replied through grinding teeth. I don't like what you're saying about Konan-chan. You don't know anything about her, and she's right. You've only said bad things about her and put her down the entire time. There's nothing more you can say. With that, he left the scene fuming, and Konan, who looked over and saw his reaction, followed in silence. Their footsteps dissipated as Sakura struggled to find words that would bring Naruto back to her. Sakura looked over to Kakashi and Yamato and gave them a silent plea for help. They only shook their heads as the gray-haired jounin spoke up. Sakura, you know very well that Konan-san is doing her best to become part of the Leaf Village. She is right when she said that you haven't given her a chance. Sakura looked back to Konan, who was talking to Naruto quietly but sadly, and then back at Kakashi. You don't actually believe that Konan is on our side, do you? I can't be entirely confident about that, but my opinions do not matter at this point, Kakashi spoke as the girl softened her facial features. But she does have the support from Tsunade-sama, and she has also been tested and interrogated. Basically, there is no evidence that claims she will turn Naruto or stray him. She actually wants to help, Sakura. Maybe you should try and trust her? Sakura didn't know that she was tested. She fell silent as she got lost in her thoughts. Could all of her assumptions be false after all? Naruto's hair turning orange is actually a coincidence. Could Naruto be acting cold because of me? Maybe he hasn't changed at all. Maybe I've been the one that has changed. I guess I have no choice. I will kill Sasuke myself and fix this mess. Come on, Kiba and Lee! Sakura shouted to the others as she turned her heel and went the opposite direction. She couldn't help but feel like she was to blame for Naruto's attitude towards her. She couldn't handle his cold stare. It was the death of her to see the brightest glowing person that she knew to turn so cold, dark, and callous. She has to fix this, even if it kills her. A lone tear fell from her eye as she tried to staunch the feelings from erupting forth. I'm so sorry, Naruto. Naruto watched his teammate turn and leave, and he couldn't help but feel a little ashamed of Sakura's actions. How could she say such cruel things about Konan? He only shook his head as he turned back to the blue-haired woman that was looking at him in return. There was some type of emotion that could be seen within her soft and amber eyes, but it looked like she was restraining herself more than standing still. Konan sighed as she looked at the orange-haired boy in sadness. You didn't have to do that. I could have handled it myself. I couldn't just let her talk about you like that, Konan-chan. Someone has to stand up for you. You don't always have to do things alone. Okay? He smiled softly after the last part. She gazed into his eyes and saw that same warmth she saw several times before. She couldn't help but curve her lips upward from his infectious grin. It always did that to her, but she didn't mind it. It actually calmed her whenever her emotions began to take shape. During this moment, something warm enveloped her heart, and she could only feel the urge to hug Naruto, but her restraint was quite heavy. She couldn't be doing these things in front of the other ninja. They would think that something was going on. She pushed the feeling down before she sighed with her unknowingly cute smile. Okay. Naruto-kun. Naruto-san. The boy in question turned his head and saw Sai standing in front of them. He held a serious manner. What are you doing here, Sai? I came here to tell you the real reason why Sakura-san came here to you, Sai replied urgently. Naruto was right. There was another reason why Sakura came here besides making that confession. Sakura really was trying to do something else. What? What real reason? Chapter 14, Deception. I can understand why Sakura doesn't want to tell you the truth, Sai spoke with his eyes never leaving the orange Jinchuriki. He came back to tell Naruto the truth, even if Sakura didn't want him to. Naruto had to be told. It would help their current predicament, and for some reason, Sai felt it was better that they return to their previous attitudes towards each other. Well, tell me, Naruto asked with confusion. He didn't know why Sakura came out in the blue and asked him something like that. It was like she was toying with his emotions. How could she do something so mean? She even called Konan a bitch. That was really uncalled for, and it was only a reminder to how Konan has been mistreated since she was in the village. All of your friends want to kill Sasuke themselves. Naruto's eyes widened. Actually, he was almost speechless. He couldn't believe it. They wanted to kill Sasuke? Naruto's goal was to bring his friend back, but they didn't want him to do that anymore? So, Naruto started with his eyes lowered to the snow. Did Sakura agree to this? I don't think that she'd want them killing Sasuke, especially since he's her first love, you know. Sai looked solemnly but with conviction to Naruto. He could definitely tell that something was different about his comrade. Sasuke will do nothing but bring this world to an end full of hatred. If he lives, then Sasuke will most likely start another war. He kept talking, but Naruto never let his eyes stray from the ground. He wasn't looking Sai in the eye. He's a criminal, Naruto. Just another criminal that is aligned with Akatsuki, which gives him no sympathy points from Konoha ever since the Akatsuki invasion. Konan, who walked up behind the both of them, frowned as she heard that last bit. She doesn't really know why she walked up to them, but what she overheard when she walked up left her wanting to stay. She kept quiet while she heard what was being said between the two. Sakura isn't blind, Sai continued. She isn't a child anymore, and she knows now the difference. That's why she came out here to tell you all of this. She should have just said it. Naruto replied sullen. Naruto just couldn't believe all of this. It wouldn't have been that easy, Kakashi spoke up. She knew it would tear you up inside. She thought that if she confessed and said that she loved you, that she would release you from that burden of bringing Sasuke back, Sai said calmly. But even though she said those things, you still said that you wanted to bring Sasuke back anyway. Maybe that's why she didn't tell you the truth. Naruto stood there silently. It was really hard to take all of this stuff in. How could Sakura just not come up and tell him directly? He would have understood. If his friends wanted to kill Sasuke, then he wouldn't have a problem with it. Wait a minute. Where did that thought come from? He clutched his head with his left hand in confusion. It was turning out to be quite a massive headache, and he felt a real one coming in as well. But she was just thinking about Naruto's feelings, wasn't she? Sai looked up and saw Konan, who stood side by side with Naruto. Nodding slowly, he continued, yes, and I also believe that she knew what he was going to say. Right. Konan asked a little more forward while taking a quick glance at Naruto and looking back to the talking boy. Right, Sai replied with a little unease. He began to feel uncomfortable talking about this matter. Sakura told us not to tell anyone, especially Naruto, about her plan. She said that it was her duty to do this. I don't think Sakura was ever intending to tell Naruto the truth, Konan replied with an instant realization. I have a feeling that she may have wanted to kill Sasuke herself. Naruto shot his stare immediately to Konan. He paled as he thought about what she just said. What? Is that true? Yamato asked in shock. It's quite likely, Sai answered with a sweat. Sakura smiled at me and said that she would work together with everyone else, but I could tell that her smile wasn't true. She must love Sasuke so much that she'd kill Sasuke just to save him, Naruto replied woefully. His voice cracked with every syllable he spoke. I believe so, Sai answered softly. She's also prepared herself for your resentment. She feels as if it's a punishment for putting such a heavy promise on your shoulders. Naruto and the gang sat in silence for a few moments after Sai said those last words. Everyone was waiting on Naruto's response. Konan didn't want to interfere more than she already did, but she did feel sympathy for the pain that Naruto was going through. Sai, Naruto finally spoke quietly. His eyes slowly found their way to Sai's as he continued, Why are you telling me all of this? Because it was partly my fault for Sakura coming to you like this. I can't leave Sakura alone either because I'm a member of Team 7 now. Naruto could only sit there and think. His thoughts were completely scattered. Although, at the same time, they were organized and he knew that he had to make a choice. His head started pounding with a headache. It only got worse from all of this news. It was almost as if he couldn't take it. Just then a group of 3 jumped to the scene. One of 3 started to speak. Her tone was mature and straight to the point. It was Temari and her 2 brothers. We're here to relay the information of what happened at the Gakage Summit. XXX. Alright, so first we will deliver the news of the Gakage Summit to Konoha. I'll use my nin dogs to get the information there quickly, Kakashi ordered confidently. Yamato, I want you to take Naruto and Konan back to the village. I'm going to fetch Sakura with Sai here. She is no match for the Uchiha. It's only a death wish. It's my duty as her teacher to bring her back. Yamato nodded his head as he watched Naruto and Konan interact with each other. Now that he thought about it, they were always together now. For some reason, he would notice Konan around Naruto more often. He couldn't really place his finger on why, but at least something good is coming from the both of them being around each other. Maybe Naruto will truly get to this Akatsuki member after all? He snorted as he looked back to Kakashi. Understood. All right, Kakashi answered. Sai, lead me to Sakura. Sai agreed and dashed away with Kakashi trailing behind. The echo of feet trampling on the ground and tree branches slowly faded away as the duo left, leaving only Naruto, Konan and Yamato. Naruto started relaying on everything that was said and still his head was hurting. It kept pulsing and he had to staunch his headache. He winced and put his hands to his head in an attempt to keep it from piercing his senses, but it was getting hard. He started making groans as he walked slowly with Yamato. It didn't take long before Konan saw his distress. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? Konan asked in haste. Naruto kept groaning and his groans of pain only got even louder as Konan eyed her teammate, Yamato-san. I think something is wrong with Naruto-kun. The captain stopped as he turned around. He looked at Naruto and saw his distress. Naruto, what's going on? Are you alright? I think we should stay in the cabin for just a while longer, Konan brought up quickly. She didn't like to see Naruto this way, and from the way he was looking, it didn't seem like he was getting any better, at least until Naruto is able to get rid of this pain that he is experiencing. I think maybe today's events have caught up with him. Yamato weighed his options. He couldn't really do with an incapacitated Naruto on the trip back home. After contemplating momentarily, he agreed to the idea. Breathing a sigh, he answered, Fine, but we can't stay for too much longer. We have to get back to Konoha. It's dangerous out here. Konan breathed a sigh of relief as she put an arm around Naruto's shoulder to help support him and guide him back to the cabin. He had his eyes shut the entire time, so he wasn't watching where he was going, but the woman decided that she would be his eyes for the meantime. XXX. Naruto shot out of bed in a cold sweat. His limbs felt heavy and he felt disoriented. Where am I? He asked in a moan. Konan and Yamato looked over to him and noticed his stir. Konan smiled as she spoke. We're back at the cabin. You were complaining about your head, and once we laid you down, you fell asleep and haven't moved since. He scanned the area and noticed that he was indeed inside the same cabin again, although it was fixed by Yamato, of course. You worried us, Naruto. We didn't know what was happening with you, Yamato told the orange-haired boy with a sigh. Well, where's Kakashi-sensei and Sai? Kakashi left while you were thinking to yourself, Konan said, slightly concerned. Don't you remember? You were there. Naruto sat there quietly as he processed that information. He was a little slow after he woke up, so it was only natural he be silent. He scratched the back of his head and looked to Konan in a tired demeanor. Yeah. I sorta remember it. My head was hurting too bad though, and I couldn't really concentrate. Anyway, now that you feel better, I think we should continue on our trek back to the Leaf Village. I was given direct orders to take you home, Yamato told Naruto in a demanding tone. Naruto stared at the man incredulously. He held a pout on his face before he slumped back over into his bed and encased himself within the covers. He still couldn't go back to Konoha. He had to get to Sakura. He couldn't leave her there to go after Sasuke. Even though he told her to leave and he was mad about Konan being so disrespected, Sakura was still his friend, and it really pained him when he found out the truth of her coming to meet him. I don't think I feel well enough yet. Please let me rest a while longer. Naruto, I don't think you understand the importance of bringing you back to Konoha, Yamato told the orange-haired genin. We are wasting valuable time and it could prove to be dangerous. Just please. Yamato-san. The man in question looked over to Konan, who was looking at the man. Let me talk to him. I think the words I tell him will get to him better. Yamato questioned her sudden interruption, but agreed nonetheless. All right, but please just help him understand what's going on. He shouldn't act like a child anymore. The woman nodded her head and held a serious facade on her face while she gazed at the covers that were shielding Naruto from the two-person audience. Naruto-kun, Konan said with a sternness to her voice, may I have a word with you, please? It will only take a moment. He only groaned, but he didn't move from his spot. She sighed as she pulled on the covers quickly, prying them off completely. Naruto rose up in his bed as he glared at Konan. Konan-chan, what the hell are you doing? If I may have a word with you, Uzumaki-san, Konan said with a sharp tongue and lowered eyelids. His last name just spewed from Konan's mouth like venom. You only have 5 seconds to step outside. He paled as he heard this entirely different side of the woman. Where did she learn to speak like that? It wasn't like the nice and gentle Konan that he's been used to listening to. He exhaled loudly before he went to the door. He didn't want to piss Konan off any more than he already did. She was scary whenever she wanted to be. Konan's face didn't falter as she stepped outside with Naruto. She looked back to Yamato, who seemed a little surprised and sweat at this woman's raw sense of malice. It will only take us a moment. Yamato nodded as she closed the door behind her. After a few moments, he let go a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Yeah. Women are scary. After the door closed behind them, Naruto sat there in silence. He was expecting everything. Mainly the third degree of how he was acting like a child. He kept his back turned to her so he didn't realize what was going on. He could feel her presence behind him and he closed his eyes, waiting on a scream or getting hit. What he didn't expect, however, was when Konan wrapped both of her arms from behind him and embraced him softly. Her chin was on his left shoulder as she breathed softly into his ear. He could only shudder and blush at this sudden action. Konan-chan, what are you Shhhhh. Konan shushed the boy as she continued to give him this comfort. The orange-haired genin could only gulp as he blushed harder and remained speechless. She sat there silently as she hugged the boy in front of her. She didn't really know what to do whenever she brought him out here, but she felt that something was truly troubling Naruto. She figured that she could return a hug, just as he did for her. She realized that sometimes people just need hugs. A moment or so later, Naruto softened up and relaxed as they stayed in this embrace. He did want a hug and the feeling was well needed. A few minutes passed as Konan released the embrace, much to her and Naruto's displeasure. That feeling was really comfortable, but there were more pressing matters to worry about. Now, Naruto-kun, replied Konan as she looked him in the eye and held her hands on his shoulders. What is wrong? Naruto returned her stare and then looked to the ground as he started talking. At first the words were hard to say, but he figured he could trust Konan enough to know his deep thoughts. I feel like I should help Sakura with Sasuke. She doesn't have to do it on her own. I even told her myself that I would take on Sasuke myself. Konan looked at him momentarily before speaking. But if you do it, then you're only doing it alone too. I know. I realize that now, Naruto replied solemnly before looking back at the paper user. That's why I want to help Sakura and do it together. He's our friend, so it should be the both of us. Not just Sakura alone. Konan thought about what he said and shifted her body. What makes you so confident that Sasuke will come back to Konoha? He's not coming back to Konoha. The woman looked over to Naruto in astonishment. What do you mean? I thought you wanted him to come back to Konoha and you were going to bring him back to Konoha no matter what? Naruto grunted as he looked away into the trees. I've been thinking. Maybe I shouldn't hold on to this ideal of bringing Sasuke back. He's only been thinking about himself and hasn't changed, no matter what I told him. He kicked a little of the snow on the ground as he continued, but I want to make sure that he absolutely doesn't want to come back. I have to talk to him one last time before I make up my mind. So this was also part of the reason why you wanted to follow Sakura? Yes, Naruto finished as he breathed in and put his hands in his pockets. Konan contemplated momentarily as she stared at the Uzumaki. He seemed a lot more focused than before, and she was curious. Naruto, you really have matured. I'll help you. Naruto shot his eyesight to her. Why, you will? Yes, I will help you with Sakura and Sasuke. I really think that you should do this and get your final resolve. It's never good to leave feelings unfinished, she replied while glancing over to him and back to the cabin, but we may have to set up a plan to get us out of here. We can't have Yamato-san knowing of our departure. Yeah, you're right, Naruto replied. After rubbing his chin, he came up with a simple idea. Alright, let's… XXX. Konan and Naruto walked back inside the cabin, disturbing an almost sleeping Yamato fully awake again. They could have just left without even creating us, Naruto thought as he looked at Yamato in a ridiculous manner. I hope you've sorted everything out, you two, Yamato replied as he looked at the both of them. They only nodded at him before Naruto started feeling pain again. He began to hold his head again like last time and groaned pretty loudly. Yamato looked on the both of them in worry. Naruto, are you experiencing that problem again? He asked as Naruto closed one eye shut and looked at Yamato in a wince. Yeah. It hurts really bad. I don't know why it's doing this. Could I please just lie down a little longer? I need to close my eyes. Oh, sure thing, Yamato replied. Boy, is Captain Yamato a sucker, Naruto thought as he continued to fake his pain. It's working so far, Konan thought as she looked at the display. Naruto's acting skills were poor, but they were good enough to fool Yamato for the time being. I hope they make it in time. XXX, somewhere in the woods. Naruto grinned as he quickly darted through the tree's branches to get to the scene as quickly as possible. I think we got away with this one pretty easily, Konan-chan. Now we can get there before Sasuke does something to her. He had his Sage mode activated as he tried to find his teammate. His senses were developed really strong whenever he activated that technique. It was truly something that was reliable when he needed it. Konan had to respect the boy's tenacity to the situation. Getting clones to take over their spot was really easy to do. I never realized how quick he was with planning. He just kept surprising her more and more, and a small grin formed on her face as she looked at the back of his head. I was right to put my trust within you. XXX. Sasuke. The person in question turned his head and looked up. He lowered his Chidori as he stared at his teammate in disgust. Sakura. The pink-haired girl stared at her teammate. Just looking at him gave chills down her spine. He wasn't the same person he was before he left. What are you doing here? Came his question. He didn't look like he wanted to chat. He actually looked like he was ready to kill whatever was in his path, and Sakura could very well feel that vibe radiating off of him. She felt scared. Sasuke. I've gone rogue from Konoha. I want to join you. But why do you want to join? He asked apprehensively. There's nothing in it for you. What are you trying to do? Sakura couldn't let him find out about her plan. She felt that nervous feeling within her stomachy while she continued speaking. I'm not planning anything. Ever since you left Konoha, I've always regretted that I didn't go with you, even to this day. Do you even know what I want to do? I want to destroy Konoha. He ended that last statement rather darkly and looked into her eyes just as fiercely. Could you really leave Konoha just for me? Yes, Sakura gulped, if that's what you want. Then prove it to me by killing this girl, he ordered while pointing his finger towards the collapsed girl on the ground. She's of no use to me anymore, and I can't have her stay alive. If you kill her, then I will believe you. Oh, you're a medic nin as well, right? That's great. It will be a perfect replacement. Sakura walked slowly up to the girl and Sasuke as she pulled a kunai from her pouch. It poked through her robe as she got ready to attempt an execution. She started shaking as she came closer. Sasuke noticed it quickly. What, you can't do it? On the inside, Sakura was having a mental battle of will. She felt as if she should just turn around and take on Sasuke right at that moment with her poison-laced kunai. Sasuke. Don't. Sakura heard the girl on the ground barely breathe out those words, but her sense came in quickly as she turned her head and saw Sasuke coming in with a Chidori straight to her head. It would have hit if Kakashi hadn't come in on time and stopped Sasuke. "My Sasuke, how could you get so low?" he asked as he countered Sasuke's Chidori and kicked him away from them. Sasuke gained his balance and landed on his feet. He didn't like the fact that Kakashi was here, but he could relish in the fact that there were two of his former team that he wanted dead. XXX. Naruto and Konan were still dashing through the woods. It was a good thing that Konan was an S-rank ninja, otherwise she would have had a hard time catching up. Naruto was really fast. Unfortunately, Naruto was too much into his own thoughts that he didn't want to start a conversation. He had to get to Kakashi and Sakura. Konan looked at Naruto and his determination as he kept up the quick speed. She felt a little sad about his predicament. The guilt still got to her about everything that happened to Naruto's village, and she could only feel like part of it was her fault. Hell, a part of it was her fault. She now realized that her debt was far greater than she ever thought before. She was that pawn that easily went along with anything that was done or needed to be done within the Akatsuki. Maybe it was her fault that she didn't realize just how much was truly going on within the Akatsuki and her friends. How did she become so blind to it all? Did her anger for Yahiko's death only spur her own vengeance? She was supposed to be the level-headed person of the trio, and she ended up doing the opposite that Yahiko really wanted whenever he started this plan for peace. Everything became twisted after Yahiko died. Nagato was always quiet, but she knew that he was mourning his death every single moment of his life. Konan didn't cry, but she did feel ashamed during those times. She was a ninja. She's not supposed to cry. It's not what a kunoichi does. Instead, she could only feel the pain nag at her, but she would shove it down and move on. No matter what it took to maintain that focused mind, she couldn't lose that order. But now, she realized that it's not healthy to keep it bottled up inside. After showing her weakness to Naruto, she realized that she felt so much better and calmer. He probably doesn't realize it, but he's already helped me understand. They're just beyond these trees, Naruto yelled to Konan, who nodded her head in confirmation. They picked up their pace through the foliage as they whisked through the trees in haste. Sasuke! No! Was all they heard as they broke out of the branches and arrived on the scene. The sound of metal against skin could be heard as Sasuke swiftly cut into Sakura's throat, completely slicing a perfect line horizontally across her neck. Sakura's eyes widened as she saw what just happened. It was as if everything slowed down to a stop. She couldn't breathe anymore. She clenched her neck tightly as she felt the world spin around her. Blood was pouring from underneath her hands as she silently screamed in agony. Her gurgles could only be described as heart-wrenching whenever she fell to her knees and then to the ground, still clinging on to life by a thread. Sakura-aya! Kakashi heard Naruto as he sped with the speed of light towards his crush. Kakashi's eyes widened as what currently happened dawned on him. Sakura got hurt. Badly? Naruto! What are you doing here? Naruto landed right beside her and picked her up in his arms. He had to. He loved his teammate. He looked into her face as she lay there. She held her sight to Naruto, but couldn't speak because of the cut. It was too deep. Her eyesight was constantly staring into Naruto's deep blue eyes. She lost that vibrance, but she was still trying her best to mouth what she was trying to say. Naruto started sobbing uncontrollably as she laid there in his arms. Sakura-chan. He whimpered as he cradled her frail body ever so gently to his own. His tears were falling quickly. There was so much blood. She weakly and shakily pulled up her arm and touched Naruto's face with her blood-stained hand. Tears of her own began to fall gently as she held her hand there. She was trying her best to tell her teammate how stupid she was, to tell him. Naruto. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come here without you. Naruto could only cry more as her hand left his face and fell beneath her. Her movements slowed to a stop and her eyes dulled. She wasn't breathing anymore. Naruto looked at her as her life faded away. He couldn't believe that one of his best friends was dying before his very eyes. He couldn't even save her, no. No! Sakura-chan! No! He gripped her even tighter as she laid lifeless in his arms. Kakashi could only stand and watch in shock at what happened. He already knew that it was not possible to survive from a cut like that. It just wasn't possible, even if you were a medic nin or not. It would take someone like Tsunade or of equal power to revive her, and Tsunade was unconscious. There was no hope. Konan could understand Naruto's pain really well. Her crush died before her eyes too. She was unable to do anything about it, just like Naruto. It was tearing him up on the inside and breaking him apart. She couldn't do anything either as Naruto sat there with the lifeless body in his hands. She looked away in sadness. Kakashi looked on in sympathy and felt further remorse and regret for being such a bad teacher. Where was he when Sakura needed him? He could only look to Naruto. His eyes widened exponentially as he gazed over to Naruto. No, this can't be happening now. Naruto's body began to seep a red soupy chakra from his skin as it enveloped him and bubbled in form. Chapter 15. An Unimaginable Truth. A deep haze slowly worked its way around Naruto's form. It deepened in color as Naruto's sobs grew louder in turmoil and anguish. His teammate, Sakura, who he had a crush on for years ever since he started Ninja Academy, has died by her own crush's very hands. Such a betrayal that could only leave anyone guessing who would be that cold and heartless to kill their teammate. None other than Sasuke Uchiha, who stood proudly after he achieved that kill. A momentary frown was held upon his face before a contorted smirk replaced it. His devilish grin grew wider as he noticed that Sakura wasn't breathing anymore. He chuckled darkly and watched the two closely, mainly Naruto, because he knew that Sakura was his favorite person, the one he loved the most. He noticed that Naruto's aura was slowly expanding with every waking moment. A mere second later, a very bubbly tail began to take shape as Naruto's canines grew. His trademark whisker marks thickened and his eyes opened to reveal something never seen before. Oh no, Kakashi thought out loud as he stared in hopelessness, this isn't good at all. I need to find Yamato, and quickly. He bit his thumb, threw out a bunch of hand signs and slapped his palm on the ground. Kichios no Jutsu. BOMF**. Yeah? A brown pug asked as he appeared from the smoke. Pakken! I need you to head south about 2 kilometers. Find the cabin with Yamato and bring him here. We need him as soon as possible. Pakken nodded his head as he gazed over to the genin and deceased female. I can see the reason for the haste, he woofed, and dashed the direction Kakashi had ordered and eventually disappeared from sight. Naruto started growling as he grew a second tail. His heart was broken. The girl he wanted to be with, one of his best friends, was gone right before his very eyes. His tears eventually turned a darkened orange and began floating from his eyes as his chakra cloak increased. He looked up to see Sasuke, who had that same grin plastered across his face. That's too bad, Naruto, Sasuke replied while folding his arms. She shouldn't have tried to kill me. Such a weak and pathetic kunoichi. At that moment, Naruto snapped. Growa! Naruto bellowed into the sky. His chakra flared massively, and it caused a sonic boom to overtake the crowd. The whole audience instinctively pulled up their arms to shield their faces as the wind blew through them, flattening their clothes in front before they flapped loosely in the wind. Konan could only gasp as she lowered her arm and stared at Naruto. Her concern grew as she saw Naruto's chakra tails swaying furiously in the air. This chakra. It's so massive. I'm almost suffocating at the sheer amount. This is what the Kyuubi's chakra is like. She looked at Naruto's eyes and immediately paled. No more did he have soft blue eyes that only shone innocence and kindness. He's completed his Rinnegan. Why did his Rinnegan complete itself? She not only noticed the Rinnegan, she also noticed that Naruto had slits for pupils instead of being circular like they normally were, and his Rinnegan was a darkened maroon. His glare was what really left her, shaking. She raised her arms to notice her hands were trembling. Was she really that scared? She hasn't been this disheveled since she was younger, and still training with Jiraiya. Before she could dive any further into those memories, she saw Naruto move. The enraged Jinchuriki slowly placed the pink-haired girl down on the ground before he shot a deadly glare towards Sasuke. The Uchiha didn't seem fazed before he found himself 50 feet into the air. Naruto came by so fast that he couldn't even get a grip as the Sharingan user was launched into the sky and had the air blown out of his lungs. Sasuke hit the ground with a hard thud and tumbled 100 feet or so before bouncing back on the balls of his feet with dust and rocks erupting everywhere. He coughed violently into his hands and sputtered blood that drizzled down his chin. Damn it, he wheezed as he looked left and right. He couldn't see the orange genin anywhere, and that left him watching his surroundings. His deteriorated eyesight didn't make it much better because everything was entirely blurry. I shouldn't have used the Mangekyo. Shit. He couldn't think any further as Naruto roared towards Sasuke at inhumane speeds and swung his fist into Sasuke's face. The Uchiha felt like his face was being ripped off by the sheer force alone. Naruto combined Shinra Tensei with his Kyuubi strength, and it increased the power of his punches. It slung Sasuke back even further and pushed him into the woods where he hit a tree branch. The branch split in half and slowed Sasuke down. He hit a few more branches on his crash course to the forest bottom. After a moment, blurry eyes opened and the ground came into view as Sasuke tried to pull his face from the dirt. He was learning real quick that Naruto was a lot stronger than he thought previously. He couldn't believe it. How? Did Naruto get this Shoyua? He felt a pull from his body as he started zooming through the air without his control. He couldn't stop himself, and before he realized it, he was now back in the open and gliding ever closer to Naruto's palm. The look on the Jinchuriki's face was terrifying, but Sasuke didn't show any emotion about it. He just grunted in pain and wound up in Naruto's hand in a death grip to the throat. Naruto stared into his ex-teammate's eyes as he came face to face with him. There was coldness enveloped deep within those maroon-colored eyes, and Sasuke couldn't say anything. That is, until Naruto felt something stab within his chest. The Jinchuriki looked down and saw that a Chidori was implanted into the boy's body. He glanced back into his hand and noticed that the object he gripped between his fingers was a Kawarimi log, and saw Sasuke behind him with his hand impaled through his body. Sasuke smirked in victory as Naruto looked stricken in pain. Gwura! He roared in agony as the ache in his chest increased evermore. The stab mark was already staunched by the Kyuubi's chakra as Sasuke dodged Naruto's swinging fist. Even though Naruto missed, the Uchiha still got smacked into the air by an unknown force, and was tumbling on the ground again through the impact. What the hell is that? Sasuke asked as he tried to gain his bearing. Naruto missed his attack, so how could he hit me? He looked back over to a distorted form of Naruto who began to grow feral. He fell to all fours as his canines grew even sharper and the whiskers even darker. Even Naruto's hair was becoming bolder than it was before, leaving a mahogany sheen from the chakra that continuously erupted around his form. Suddenly, a third tail shot forth from his chakra cloak as it swayed in disarray with the others. You'll pay for what you did to Sakura-chan, Naruto growled as he stood there on all fours. The malice was apparent on the boy's face. There was nothing else but the thought of death for his male teammate, to rip into bloody pieces all over the ground. Kakashi couldn't do anything to stop Naruto as he watched the intense fight. It was too dangerous to get in between Naruto and Sasuke as they battled it out. Especially Naruto. Whenever the Jinchuriki uses Kyuubi chakra, he loses all rationality and wreaks havoc on whoever made him angry and anything else that stands in his way. He knew very well that Naruto was going to not hold back once he saw Sakura meet her untimely demise. I hope Pakken reaches Yamato soon. We can't have Naruto lose control and release the Kyuubi. He glanced over to Konan and noticed she looked a little frightened. She probably felt like she couldn't do anything. He couldn't tell. All he could do was watch on in silence as Naruto grew his third tail. Huh? His eye widened as that tail grew in quickly. This is terrible. It grew faster than I thought it would. We have to do something. We can't have his fourth tail emerge. Konan sat in silence, watching in horror as Naruto roared from the top of his lungs. This Naruto was different. He looked like he was in pain and far from being healed. He didn't look complete within himself, and he carried this evil aura. The chakra alone was vividly malevolent, and the tense atmosphere left her frozen in place. I can't move. Why is... She gasped as she looked at Naruto's destruction. This wasn't like Naruto at all. He was a man and couldn't be stopped. It was then that she was struck with a memory she suppressed her entire life. A memory long forgotten and dead but still haunted her dreams like a recurring itch. Flashback. The battlefield was filled to the brim with AIM shinobi as two Akatsuki members held a standstill with the crowd of overwhelming Amigekyo ninja. Both of the Akatsuki members held a defensive stance while staring at the leader of AIM in disgrace. Hanzo the salamander was grinning through his breathing contraption as he found a weakness to this so-called Akatsuki. Since I was an Akatsuki member, I was the first target because I was female. I was bound and held captive by the AIM leader known as Hanzo, who wouldn't give in to their demands. So he held a secret plan with Danzo, who helped in this little charade. Both of the men wanted this group disposed of and forgotten, and what better way than to kill off the head honcho. The leader of the Akatsuki was a young man with orange spiky hair and a mature stature. He wore a black robe and spoke with intelligence. It wasn't every day that someone came across a man like this, and it certainly proved why so many wanted this man dead. He understood the meaning behind death, and he understood the reason why peace was so difficult. He strived to achieve his master's will for peace and wouldn't let anything stand in his way. That's why he was left in a standstill and an ultimatum. He gazed his tired eyes to me, who was held prisoner up above. I was a woman that he loved very dearly. Someone he couldn't let pass away as easily as this. He looked down and questioned himself, his entire beliefs. He never believed that it would come down to this. This was the final moment where the thoughts of his childhood were in play. He had to become a man and face reality. If he didn't die, then the girl that he fell in love with would perish for his own fears. He couldn't let that happen, but he was too drowned in thought to make an absolute answer. Hanzo decided to spare the man the choice. Hanzo himself knew that he had to finish this ordeal soon, so he gave them a chance. He couldn't have the leader wasting any more time, so he threw a kunai that stuck 3 feet in front of the Akatsuki leader's teammate. A red-headed Uzumaki named Nagato looked up to the Amikage in question. He wasn't an idiot at all. He instantly figured out that Hanzo was expecting him to kill his best friend. "You," the salamander stated, "kill the one next to you and I will let this girl free." I shouted as loud as I could over the rainfall, but I think my pleas fell on deaf ears. I could tell Nagato was afraid. He never knew that it would come down to this. He never knew that he would have to make the choice to kill his friend or let me die. I was so grief-stricken. I shouldn't have been so stupid to get myself caught. If I would have thought my actions out a little further, this never would have happened. Before I knew it, I heard a scream of agony and the sound of a kunai piercing a ribcage that filled the air in a sickening crack. I grazed my eyesight over both of my teammates, and saw that Yahiko was stabbed in his chest by Nagato. I couldn't understand. I screamed as loud as I could at the pain that I saw fall before me. I heard Hanzo chuckle as he stared at my 2 teammates in amusement. It was over. My crush, my love, fell before my very eyes and hit the mud in a bloody mess. I felt like weeping and giving up. It tore me apart and scattered the pieces. The person who took care of me, who helped me become strong, fell lifeless in the cold pouring rain. Nagato stood still as what had happened before his eyes was taken in at once. I could see it in his face, the betrayal, the shock, the realization of it all. He couldn't take it anymore. He changed. I saw this look in his eyes that was far beyond reasoning. He roared. Nagato actually roared. It wasn't just some simple battle cry. No. It was a roar of vengeance, a roar of death. He pulled me free from Hanzo's grasp, and while lifting me, he didn't know that there were tags placed upon the ground and they tried to keep us held down. Nagato kept me safe at the cost of those tags incinerating his legs. I watched as his legs burned and I couldn't help but feel ashamed because of my faults. Hanzo ordered his men onto Nagato and everyone tried to attack him all at once. He instantly repelled every attack like they weren't even a challenge. Once Nagato placed me on the ground, I could only look up and stare at these new eyes. His cold, dead Rinnegan. I could see it within his face that he had given up. He told me to watch after Yahiko's body, but I was too distracted by Nagato's anger to focus on the situation. Then, he did something that changed his entire life. Performing the Geto statue summon. It completely made him lose control of himself. I've never seen a man so enthralled with his power. He roared maniacally and was stealing away the souls of Hanzo's henchmen with a simple sweep. I saw him grin with satisfaction at his evil deed. I could only grit my teeth in frustration and look away as I tried to stifle my emotions. Nagato. You achieved vengeance. Does it satisfy you? You've finally snapped and reciprocated the pain that has fallen upon you. That innocent and quiet young boy turned into a cold killer, just like the ones who took your life away from you. You went so far off track. It took you so long to realize. Nagato turned to me and I fell breathless as I ended up staring straight into the eyes of a lifeless Naruto Uzumaki. "And-san! Konan-san!" Konan snapped at attention as she looked to see Kakashi standing in front of her and shaking the woman from her daze. "Konan-san! We have to stop Naruto! We can't let Naruto's fourth tail emerge." Konan looked around and noticed that indeed, Naruto was still fighting Sasuke. She completely lost track of time as she fell into her memory. Then her thoughts all came crashing down harshly within her mind. She clenched her jaw as she noticed the full scenario. Wait a minute. Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun. I can't dash with that. She dashed towards the Jinchuriki and the Uchiha as fast as she could with an unusual look on her face. Wait! Konan-san! It's dangerous! Kakashi yelled to deaf ears. He only sighed as he watched the woman loom closer to the fight. Maybe you can do something. I can only hope. Naruto and Sasuke both held a staring contest as the wind settled between them. The ferocity of the fight was pretty spectacular. Sasuke knew that Naruto got stronger, but he didn't think it was that much of an increase. And since when did he gain the Rinnegan? He was more perturbed at the fact that Naruto was stronger than him more than he was about anything else. He spit more of his blood to the ground as he watched Naruto stand up on both of his legs. Naruto's face was darkened in hatred as he leered upon the traitor Uchiha. His chakra cloak warbled with intensity as it darkened its red hues. He growled violently as his gaze sharpened in distaste. I'm going to end this, you motherfucker. Sasuke stood in silence and emotionless to Naruto's taunts, never breaking blurry eye contact away from the Genin's hate-filled Rinnegan. Shortly after, Naruto went on all fours as he dashed towards Sasuke. The Uchiha prepared as he fell into a defensive stance. He really wasn't in the best shape to have a full-on fight with Naruto. He had to save his energy the best that he could. Naruto disappeared halfway and left Sasuke widening his eyes. Not a split second after, Naruto stuck a knee to the back of Sasuke's head and sent the boy flying through the air yet again. Before he could hit the ground, Zetsu bounced out of Sasuke's body and cushioned his fall before he hit his head. Alright, I should intervene now, Zetsu replied with a sigh. Sasuke picked himself up and looked at Zetsu in anger. Where did you come from and why didn't you come sooner? Zetsu looked at the Jinchuriki before he turned to Sasuke. I was sent to watch over you for things like this to keep from happening. I'll relay the information to Madara. After that, the white man phased through the ground and left Sasuke momentarily to handle his problem until Madara returned to the site. It wouldn't take long at all, but that meant Sasuke still had to stall for a few minutes. Not many things were on the Uchiha's mind, although he knew that there were plenty on the rabid Jinchuriki's mind, but Sasuke did sweat a little from the instability of his ex-friend. He had to watch what he said, otherwise he would really get killed in his weakened state. Why are you making such a big deal about Sakura? She wasn't even that great of a kunoichi. But thanks to me we won't have to worry about that anymore. Now I can finally have peace, Sasuke said as he glared with tired eyes at Naruto. Shut up. Just shut up. Naruto roared as he gripped his head in rage. He was beginning to lose his sanity, and the very core thoughts that made him who he was. He was losing it all. The only thought in his mind was to annihilate, destroy, crush, exterminate, kill. Something started bubbling on his chakra cloak as he bellowed in a demonic voice. A fourth tail began to emerge from his cloak as the chakra began to confine and seep into his skin. His growl was deepening and making his cry from earlier seem like nothing but a cat's mew. Naruto was beginning to fall on all fours whenever something grabbed him from behind and gripped him tightly. The Jinchuriki screamed as he felt weighed down by something. He quickly tried to get this thing off of him as he tried to pull it apart from him. The thing wouldn't let go as it held on for dear life, and it only enraged the monster. Naruto-kun! The person yelled as she held on tightly. The monster roared as he continued to wriggle free. This person was trying to restrain him, to prevent him from killing Sasuke, the one who murdered Sakura in cold blood. Naruto-kun! Please! Drip asterisk. Naruto froze in place as he registered a wet feeling hitting his shoulder. All movements ceased and a cackle of breathing could be heard from the Jinchuriki's mouth. It was almost like he was waiting on the person to continue, or maybe he felt that the person's voice and touch was familiar. Please stop. Please. I don't want to lose you too. Konan held tightly from behind as she trembled from the emotions. Her memory made her realize something truly important. Naruto was the only thing she had left, and Naruto was about to follow the same path Nagato walked. Naruto can't fall off from his path to peace, not when he's so close. She had complete faith in him. This time she realized the mistake of her inaction with Nagato, and now she finally decided that she would do something about it instead of standing back and doing nothing. That's why she didn't want to let Naruto go. She couldn't let Naruto go. She would be giving up on him if she did. She had to stay strong, if at least to get him to put his anger in check. She had to be his pillar of strength right now. You're important to me, Naruto-kun, Konan started with a quiver in her voice. You've taught me that I should move on and that I should have faith not only in you, but with the rest of the people in the world. Please, Naruto-kun, move on from Sakura's death. Konan felt Naruto flinch under her arms, and she heard an animalistic whine in sadness. Yes, it will hurt for a while, but that's why you should move on. Remember, this is one of the steps for peace. Forget the pain, but don't forget the person. Always remember that she will be with you in spirit. She will live in your heart forever, Naruto-kun. Konan had streams of liquid sadness streaming down her face while she spoke with a soft, shaky tone and sad smile. So, please, Naruto-kun, let it go. These few moments felt like ages, but it was a good sign. Naruto's cloak receded back within the Jinchuriki and he started losing his tails, eventually leaving nothing but his slightly burnt skin and his clothes on his back. His breathing was rapid from exhaustion, and tears made their way down his cheeks as he heaved in sadness. Konan continued to hold on to him as she rubbed his stomach in a soothing motion and was gently crying on his shoulder. It's all right, Naruto-kun. I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere. I promise. The Jinchuriki opened his eyes and gazed his now blue eyes back at Konan's face by his neck before he turned around and embraced her forcefully. She was surprised by the sudden attachment, but she relished the feeling and continued to wrap her arms around his sobbing figure. I will be your pillar, Naruto-kun. I won't hold back anymore and I will support you. I think it's the least I could do for what you've done for me. Sasuke looked on in silence as he stared at the sickeningly sweet moment. It secretly made him wish that his mother could do the same for him, and he only narrowed his eyes at the scene. The time was coming for his revenge. It wouldn't take too long for him to achieve his retribution. For now, though, he had to stay alive, so he waited patiently until Madara appeared. Kakashi looked over in shock at the scene that fell before him. I don't believe it. She actually pacified Naruto. His lone eye widened as he saw the chakra that surrounded Naruto slowly dissipate, until it disappeared. He was only left with questions as Yamato appeared through the trees in a violent rush. What's going on? What happened? Kakashi held his eye to the lifeless form beside his feet. Is she? Kakashi nodded sadly as he stared at the deceased female and spoke firmly. Not only that, Naruto went out of control after he realized that she died. He began releasing the Nine Tails chakra. What? The wood user yelled in fear. Where is he? Kakashi pointed over to the distance at two people embracing firmly and a third person a little further in the background. Konan-san went out there to stop him. She somehow calmed him down just moments before you arrived. It's a miracle, Yamato stated in awe. He was absolutely shocked that Konan was able to suppress his chakra and calm his emotions. He never heard of Naruto ever being able to suppress the rage on his own. Not even Jiraiya could prevent him from going completely insane whenever Naruto let the Nine Tails chakra consume him. If she wasn't here, Naruto would have erupted into full Nine Tails and went out of control. He looked onto the scene before him and felt a small smile form on his face. There really is something different about her. Soon after, a swirling vortex appeared beside Sasuke and Madara emerged from the hole. He took a glance at the scene and pondered momentarily before looking back to Sasuke. I thought I told you to rest? Sasuke did a loud snort before turning his eyesight. I had a little run into trouble. Well, for now, Toby started while gazing interestedly at the two locked in an embrace. We're going to have to retreat. I will set up another time for you to fight the Nine Tails. For now you need to rest. Let's go, Sasuke. The young Uchiha turned his head back to his ex-friend and the ex-Akatsuki member before closing his eyes and furrowing his eyebrows in anger. Madara. I'll talk to you later. The masked man said nothing as he swirled Sasuke in the eye vortex before doing the same to himself and leaving the ground before them completely empty.